Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Sports Writers Podcast. We got just about everyone here today as we record on Monday. Nick Kukuru, Gloucester Times sports editor, Matt Williams, Salem News, Nick Giannino, Salem News, and Phil Stacey should be joining us very shortly. He's probably on an important phone call, probably involving the National Hockey League or something like that. Who knows? But we've got football playoffs to announce. I know the pairings have come out as we're recording this. Gentlemen, we can just pick up with some of these matchups if you want. If I can share this here, and I should be able to if I find this right one here. Here we go. All right, you can see that, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right, so
good.
So what you see here is that one on the left is Division One. So those are some of the teams in Division One, some of the North Shore teams, if you will, that are playing. And gentlemen, any reaction? We got Classical playing at the number 3, Andover, and St. John's Prep hosting Attleboro, Prep ranked number 7.
I think that's probably about right for the Prep, right? Would they have 2 losses, or just the one? They have 2.
2, yeah, 2.
Yeah,
I mean, it's hard to you look at the Catholic Conference this year, and a lot of their teams don't have good rankings because they were really top heavy. I mean, St. John's played 2 close games, lost them both, and every other game they played was a blowout. I mean, I guess BC High hung around with them for a little while, but they ended up blowing them out. BC High, terrible record. They get in the playoffs on the power ranking, and they get sent home on the 2-win thing. As we know in football, there is a win minimum. If you're 2-6 and you're in that top 16, you're gone. See you later. Every other sport, if you're in the top 32, it doesn't matter how bad your record is, you get in. So that's a little wrinkle. And so Prep, I mean, I don't know. You wonder if, you're the number 2 seed Andover, you go undefeated, you're thinking Super Bowl, and your reward in the second round is going to be St. John's Prep and their 150 kids, one of whom is going to play in the NFL and is going to Georgia. Like,
right.
This is what I earned the seed for. Like, so I do think that's maybe a little bit low, but it is Division One. So you look around Division One, and it's not like there's any easy draws there. I mean, Springfield Central being number 4 is, I think, question. I mean, the one thing that I question is Franklin there at number 1. I mean, obviously the math works out, but they lost to the top seeded Division 2 Milford just the other day. They got 2 losses. Is that South Shore League really that much better than the Merrimack Valley, that they're better than an undefeated Andover team that probably beat Central Catholic? Central Catholic, a team that beat the Prep. So I don't know what else you're supposed to do if you're Andover, to get that top seed. But it's going to be really interesting. I think the good news for St. John's is that Springfield and Xaverian are on the other side. I look at, to me, if I'm a St. John's fan, those are the 2 teams that are probably most capable of picking me off, with all due respect to the Merrimack Valley and Central and Andover. And I know the Prep already beat Central, right? But I think it was the reverse last year.
No, they lost.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
What I meant to say, the Prep already lost to Central. So the Central fans are sitting there saying, well, can't we pick them off? But those teams are so close, right? It was the reverse last year. Was it Prep won the regular season game and lost the playoff game? So, I mean, anytime teams get together, that's a coin flip. So, I mean, I think if you're St. John's, you're pretty happy to see Springfield and Xaverian on the other side. You feel like you have a path that you can take to the Super Bowl potentially. And, once you get there, hey, you roll the dice and see what happens.
We probably won't have time to go all through the brackets. Phil Stacey has joined us. Phil, welcome.
Thank you.
And it looks like to me, I didn't go to these brackets right away, Matt, because they weren't filled out this way earlier. But now people can see what you were just talking about there, Matt. And I had Andover incorrectly placed at number 3. They're a number 2 seed, obviously. So, anyways, those are the brackets for Division 1. When we could move on, I guess. Any other reaction from anybody here? We can jump to other divisions here. We got Peabody in Division 2.
Yeah, who's ranked ahead of Catholic Memorial, who's arguably the top team in the state, right? So that
team in New England, probably.
Not arguably, they are.
Yeah. So
well, I would say Springfield Central would have something to say about that.
Until somebody beats CM, I would say they kind of hold that crown. I mean,
I don't know.
Not that Central is not a great team, but
No, but they should play them then. CM should play them then.
no, I
If they
agree.
want that, I mean, but Springfield's healthier right now and better and beat, teams by more points. I don't know. That's a close one, but either way, I mean, these rankings, it just shows, a lot of people complain, oh, it doesn't consider wins. Well, yes, it does, because the margin of victory is the most important thing in this. I think we're seeing that this year. That margin is more important than your schedule. If you beat all your opponents by 10 to 14 points, you're going to be in the top 8 or the top 4, no matter who you play against, is what we're seeing when you look at this math. I mean, Peabody is ranked number 3 because they won every single game by 14 or more points. If they won every single game by only 7 or more points, you take 7 points away from their power rank and they're down at number 9 or 10 or whatever. So that's what I'm seeing this year. That margin is so important. The reason CM's not number 1 is because the Prep and Zavarian covered the spread and didn't lose by 14 to them.
What about the number of games that teams play? We talked about this last week a bit, but you got King Philip there with 7 games played. Catholic Memorial also with 7. While you could have played 8 games, as you see with some of these teams.
Well, it didn't hurt Marblehead last year, right? I mean, it all depends who you're going to play, right? I mean, it can't hurt your own score because that's just a straight average divided by the number of games you play. Your other score, I mean, if you can get a great team to play you, then it will help. If you're going to have to play a bad team in order just to play a game, it could hurt you. I mean, the other thing with Catholic Memorial, they played Algonquin just to fill their schedule and meet that 7-game minimum because teams on the South Shore are not willing to play them right now. They can't get a game with Brockton, because of the transfers and some of the bad blood. They can't get games. And, that's a shame, but some of it's on them. And, so they might be better off playing 6-7 games rather than going and playing a team that's going to hurt their power rating.
I'll say this too with PB, and Willie and I talked about this a little bit earlier, but I think it's a tough bracket for them. They should beat Fian, which of course gave Bishop Fenwick its only loss. I mean, Fian has won 4 in a row after starting 0-3. They got momentum, so certainly won't be a cakewalk. But then you're looking at probably Reading in the second round. It'll be another home game for Peabody, but geez, Reading is awfully good. They got James Murphy, the big quarterback protege. I believe he's going to Brown. They're a deep team. They got a lot of talent over there. And then if Peabody survives that, you're probably looking at King Philip in the state semifinals, number 2. So if Peabody goes through this thing, they're going to have earned it. No question. It's a tough gauntlet for them.
Yeah.
It's, but Division 2 is the deepest division, I think, in the state. And I mean, if you get to that final 8, I mean, there's no lambs there, whether it's Reading. I mean, you're talking Marshfield, Mansfield, CM, Milford. I mean, maybe Chelmsford doesn't have the history of some of those other teams, but I mean, every single team in that top 8 is a team with a, coach that's got 100, 150 wins, Super Bowls on the resume. I mean, that is iron no matter where you are. And so I think, from an old school perspective, and not to look ahead of Leominster, which, I mean, Leominster could give Reading a game, but I think Peabody Reading is like a North old school type of game, potentially a shootout, potentially the best quarterback matchup that you're going to see in Lynch and Murphy. So that's going to be worth the price of admission if we get there. We can obviously talk about more about that, next week. But I think if you're Peabody, I mean, you look at, CM and Milford being on the other side, just like we talked about with the Prep. I mean, there's a path there to get to Gillette Stadium. Now they're going to have to play their absolute best football. They may have to catch a lucky break or two along the way to get by a Reading or a Leominster again or a King Philip, but it's doable. And, if CM or Milford were there, it would probably not be doable. So I think this is about as good a draw as you could have possibly hoped for if you're Peabody.
I popped up Division 3 here, and we can breeze through some of these quickly here. What's interesting here is that just outside of our actual area would be Wakefield, but they've struggled in football the last decade or so. But they've turned in a great year at 8-0, and they're just ahead of Marblehead, ranked number 8 in the brackets here. And you can see and they'll be matched up against Masconomet, so that's a tough matchup there. While Marblehead is hosting Whitman Hanson on Friday. So they've got that is Friday, right? 11-4. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Those times and dates weren't up earlier today. I just got back in. So, anyways,
Yeah, I think that Whitman-Hanson game, Marblehead certainly cannot overlook the Panthers. They're 4-4, but they play in a great league. It seems as though they're a team that's on the rise after having only won a couple games last year, and they hung with Duxbury last week, unbeaten Duxbury for a while before ultimately falling in that game. So Marblehead, has not played up to Marblehead standards this year, I would say. The one loss to PBD, they've won all their other games, but they haven't been in the same way that we're accustomed to seeing them, being crisp in terms of their execution, putting their foot on the throats of their opponents, by halftime or early in the third quarter, and breezing the rest of the way. They've struggled at times. They've struggled to play complete football games. Even in last week's win over Danvers, they did not play particularly well. I mean, they hit on a few long passes for touchdowns. They got a long touchdown run from Connor Cronin, but the entirety of the game was not particularly sharp for Marblehead. So they have work to do, and they need to be ready to play Friday night against Whitman-Hanson.
I think those deep routes though that they run, they have a lot of success with the long ball. I mean, O'Neill can heave it, and
they do. I just don't think they
don't want to rely on that. No, not at all.
No, they don't want to rely on it, and it's not how they've produced winning football over the last 6-7 years. They've been they pound teams into submission. They don't just throw it up and hope that our guy is going to beat your guy one-on-one or out jump him or get better body position, that kind of thing. I mean, yeah, O'Neill's got a great arm and he can let it fly, and they got lots of good receivers, but it's not something you don't want to die on that hill. In other words,
absolutely, I agree.
We're going to win or lose in the playoffs because I can complete a 40-yard pass into the right corner on a fade route.
I sort of agree that before the PBD loss, they were struggling in their wins. Since then, I mean, I don't know. They've outscored their opponents 96-14 since that loss. I think, they destroyed Beverly, killed the second half to put away Masco, put away Danvers to such a degree that Danvers was out of the playoffs. I mean, if that's a 7-point game or a 10-point game, Danvers might have got in. They beat them handily by 20. So, I mean, I am sort of impressed by the way Marblehead has played since that loss. I mean, they have played much better than they did against Linfield and North Andover in weeks 2 and 3 anyway.
Yeah, I still see mistakes being made that I'm not used to seeing from Marblehead's team. And perhaps it's not fair on my part to compare the 2022 Marblehead team to the 2016 Marblehead team or whatever, it just seems to me that the car's running, it's just not running smoothly. It's sputtering a little bit. It's getting you where you're going, and it's okay. It's just not in peak condition yet. And I think anytime when you have an O'Neill or you have a Connor Cronin or you have I think Sam Anisi's been playing great football for them. When you have top end players like that, you're going to be in any game you play. But it's just something missing so far. They haven't played their best football yet by any stretch, I would say. So, maybe November's the time it all comes together.
Let me bring Nick Kukuru in here. Nick, what do you think's thoughts so far on anything you've heard so far?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Whitman-Hanson, I always take them seriously. They were the team that knocked me out of my last high school football game back in 2001. Didn't they beat Salem in a Super Bowl back in the day too?
Yeah,
back in '94. Yeah.
So yeah,
nothing to BU.
So
great soccer teams over the years. They got girls in the Olympics from Whitman-Hanson. I mean, anytime you play a school with a hyphen, it's going to be a
basketball too, didn't they? They beat. Wasn't that was Beverly? They beat Beverly.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
at the Garden. So.
All right. Well, there you go. We also see Revere in there at number 14. I think that's Plymouth South is a team they played earlier this year, I think. Or Plymouth North, and it was a tough team. So, but that could be a rematch there. And I probably should have known that, but I was just looking at these brackets here now. And so why don't we jump to another bracket if we could here? How about that? But I have to make a move here. Hang on, gentlemen here. Oh, whoops, wait a minute here. I think I missed something up here. Hold on here. Now, you guys just talk amongst yourselves here, and
Well, trying to think what division,
I'm very
what
close.
division?
I'm very close to doing this.
I think we're on D5, right? Nope, nobody around here made it in 4.
Okay,
Right.
good. Okay.
So that brings us up to Fenwick and
Swampscott.
Swampscott. Yeah,
Huh.
the defended champs get a chance to go down to Hudson, which is not as far away as I thought. It's kind of only 40 minutes from where I live. I thought it was like going to be way out, but it's not too far. And Swampscott's really been a Jekyll and Hyde team this year, right? I mean, they've been really tough defensively in a couple of games. The
Here we
Fenwick
go.
game and the Masco game specifically, and then really soft in some of the other games. I mean, you look at their loss to Danvers and they really got pounded. So it's kind of going to be which Swampscott team shows up there, I think. I mean, geez, again, you're Hudson, you 8-0, you draw the number 1 seed, and you got to take out the 2-time defending Super Bowl champs. Like, talk about earning it.
Hey,
But
I got a
Swampscott,
little.
It's all going to be predicated on how their line plays. First of all, how healthy they are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
health is huge.
They
No
can get out of
question.
those guys. I'm guessing, and Nino, you could tell us a lot better. I'm guessing that they were able to plug in a few more holes last week, get some guys healthy, and gave Masco a pretty good battle in that 7-0 loss.
Yeah, they did. I mean, speaking with Bob after, they were still missing some key guys on the line, and they were visibly smaller than Masco. But those guys battled. I mean, give them credit. That was, like you said, a 7-0 game. They got some big stops defensively. I didn't think their offense looked particularly crisp, but they do have the weapons in the passing game and in the backfield. So like you said, I think it's kind of hit or miss with them. Maybe they can peak at the right time here and give Hudson a run for their money, but it's all going to be about health. I mean, that having a line that can compete is huge. I mean, in both phases.
Well, think about it. They go down there with nothing to lose, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know they're the defending champions, and if you go back to 2019, 2-time defending champions, but they're the 16th seed and they're going on the road to face an unbeaten team, and no one's going to pick them to win. And I think there's something to that mentality as a team where it is that us against the world. If Coach Serino and his guys can get them believing, hey, we're the champs until someone takes it away from us. We're not going to let that happen tonight. Here's how we're going to beat this team. Here's what we need to do. If they can all buy into that, and then they catch a few breaks Friday night, they get some turnovers, they make some game-changing plays. I mean, stranger things have happened. I don't think even under this format, it is unprecedented for a 16 in Swampscott where they could beat a 1. I'm not saying it'll happen, but it could. It's not impossible. Let's put it that way.
And I think they got great
the
coaching. They got great coaching, and that's come into play obviously in the postseason in the past couple years. But between Serino and Coach Bush with the defense, he's got those guys competing regardless of who they got out there, and so I feel good about that. But like you said, I think a lot of it comes down to health and what their line's going to look like.
So here's a little connection. Bishop Fenwick is playing the Auburn team, and they're hosting them on Friday at 7. But Auburn played Swampscott to open up the season in a non-league game, and Fenwick was over there scouting Swampscott because they played them later in the year. But so that's a matchup that at least Fenwick's a little bit familiar with Auburn here in 2022. Anyways, they've had a chance to take a look at the team out on the Mass Pike.
Yeah, great point, Bill. They would have scouted that game to play Swampscott. So great point. I mean, Fenwick is a really, I think, good team. I mean, Aiden Breen is a demon on defense, and Bryce Lehman's got 3 or 4 300-yard passing games this year. So, some good targets on the outside there. Like I wouldn't rule out Fenwick. I mean, they were a Final Four team a year ago, and without knowing anything about Maynard and having seen North Reading lose a couple of weeks ago. They're going to play a rival Triton there in the quarterfinals potentially. If so it could be a really interesting side there. I wouldn't rule out a tournament run here by the Crusaders, and certainly Coach Woods and Coach Dugan over there have been through to enough state semifinals and finals that team's going to be as well prepared as anybody. You can bet the farm on that.
I think for Fenwick, Will, you hit it on it earlier. It's going to have to be defense that steps up. I mean, we know what they have in terms of offensive weaponry with Lehman, Troy Irizarry, Anthony Nichols, Luke Connolly, Costa Beechin, Mike Zamey, all kinds of guys they can either hand the ball off to or throw the football to and gain chunk plays. Defensively, though, they've given up almost I think it's 45 points in the last 5 quarters of football. They gave up 20 in the fourth quarter to Fian. And then surprisingly, they gave up 25 to Bishop Stang last week. Now, I know Stang's a playoff team and, not to be taken lightly, conference opponent and all, but I was surprised that they kind of really battled Fenwick as much as they did last weekend. And I think the final score was 34-25. I think Fenwick will be looking to tighten up on that side of the football a little bit, whether it's trying to disguise some coverages or look for some ways, maybe some better matchups for them where they can get more penetration up front or more blanket coverage on some of those passing plays. I think that'll be an emphasis for them this week, an area, because you can score all the points in the world, but you got to be able to stop somebody in the playoffs. So I think you'll see the Crusaders focus on that.
And I don't think it's a personnel issue. I think they got the talent defensively. I haven't seen them in a few weeks, but they got some athletes on that side of the ball too. They got some big boys.
Yeah.
So I think it's just cleaning up
my man Will Gibbs, 63.
Yeah.
The road grader in the middle. Yeah.
There you go.
I think we can kind of breeze by Division 6, St. Mary's number 3, Winthrop number 4, a little bit outside our coverage area, Linfield number 6. Obviously, Stoneham will be really tough there. And, the only other sort of quote unquote local is Manchester Essex there, Nick. You want to talk about them a little bit?
Yeah, Division 8, number 4 seeds. They got Quabog. Good old Quabog this week. I don't know. I can't say I've ever covered a game involving that team, so I don't know much about them. But
Quabog right here, Swampscott High girls basketball state final 2009. So and
okay.
The game was over after the end of the second quarter. It was not competitive in any way, shape, or form.
It might have been regional, right?
It was 08 or 09. Yeah, Quabog.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I think Manchester Essex is a contender in that division, to be honest. I mean, they're getting healthy. They got Declan Kirk, their wide receiver, back last week. He's their big play guy. I think Stephen Martin, running back, still out for a bit. He was still in a walking boot last week against Lynn Tech. But, I like them because I think they're two-dimensional. They can win a shootout and, they can win kind of a grinded-out defensive game, too. So I think, their ability to be able to do that makes them, a real contender there. I know they got if they take care of business the first 2 rounds, they got the 1 seed on their side of the bracket in Hull. But, they're built. They've beaten 3 Commonwealth large teams this season. So, they played a tougher schedule than they did last year. I think they made a point to do that after last year, being undefeated in the regular season, then going 1 and done. They have 3 losses this year and a higher seed. So I think it's worked out for them.
I'm guessing they wouldn't mind having a rematch with Kip Academy either.
Yeah, I don't know. Juan Settlesing's kind of had their number the last couple times they played. I don't know if they want to see that kid again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, I'm gonna try to see if I can do a little. We got a little shout out here. I think I gotta see if I can find this here. Wait a minute here. What happened here? Wait a minute here.
Hey, while you're looking for that, just quickly, I know we haven't gotten any of the non-football playoff games yet, but
they just got posted.
Yeah,
they just got posted like 10 minutes ago.
They did.
Yeah.
Okay, now.
I'm sure. So we got some local games. North Andover at Danvers. There's no dates or times yet. So North Andover at Danvers, Gloucester at Essex Tech.
I like that game.
Ipswich at Whittier Tech.
Not bad.
O'Brien at Hamilton Wenham.
Lynn English at Salem.
Lynn English at Salem.
Perhaps preview of the future Greater Boston League, perhaps.
All right. Now, let me ask you this. Why isn't Danvers and Salem playing each other? They're both in the same division, played each other for years. It's a tiny car ride. Why would you say Danvers is playing North Andover?
North Andover.
And English is playing Salem?
English has probably played Salem more times than they played Danvers over the years, and maybe they're saving that juicy matchup for week 10.
I hope so, because, God, they're both Northeastern Conference members. It's a short car ride. I mean, come on, let's go. What's where's there more interest if you're a Salem fan or a Danvers fan, playing somebody in the next town over, or playing whoever, who cares?
I think Lynn English falls into that category for Salem, though. They get a lot of crossover in basketball, big rivalry. That they are kind of connected there over by Highland Ave, so that does kind of make sense. In that sense, let's get Beverly Gloucester for week 10 too.
Well, I think the problem
that's right.
there is
Beverly
they're different
Winchester
divisions.
too. We didn't mention there yet. Beverly Winchester. I'd like to see it. 1920 was the last time Beverly and Gloucester were not on each other's schedule.
Right.
There was a rain out in there in one
He
of
means
those years.
19 guys. Just to clarify, Nick means 1920, not 2019-20.
Yeah.
Like 100
exactly.
years ago.
1920, last
No, it's
century.
true. I think they have to stick to that. Got to play within your own division kind of thing.
Well, no, North Andover is D2 and Danvers is a D4. So I mean, that's not true.
Oh, so there you go. So I mean,
I can't. North Andover got squeezed out of the playoffs. Huh? They were in the playoffs like a week ago. That's kind of shocking. I know Peabody was like kind of doing an early scout on them, thinking they might play them. I guess they must have lost.
Yeah.
Well, looking at this picture here, I'm guessing we're in for some goat talk.
We're in for it right here, folks. So we did a shout out. We were talking about this guy last week. I'm not sure who he is, right? I mean, we're not really sure, right? But let's take a listen here. What we got.
No volume.
More volume?
There's none. It's no volume. Yeah.
He's happy. He's happy. We know that.
Can you hear them?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know. All right. Well, Nick, who is this guy?
That is the Marblehead High boys soccer coach, Elmer Magana.
Yeah. All right. I'm sorry you can't hear him. I don't know why that would be, but I thought that's how this screen share thing worked. But
yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, so I apologize, Coach, for not being
able
to
to
do that.
our IT guys on that.
Yeah, I don't know. This is very discouraging. It was going to be fantastic. But anyways, what a good sport. Got a chance to talk with him last week, last Friday, as a matter of fact. Yeah. So soccer pairings coming out Wednesday, boys and girls
Wednesday,
soccer.
Yep.
Yeah. So not right away here on that.
They're in the playoffs. Marblehead's back in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'll have to. That's too bad we don't have the audio for that piece. But anyways, calls Nick Giannino the GOAT, the greatest of all time soccer
We
writer.
love it. We absolutely love it. We should mention too. People keep an eye out. The field hockey is going to be out on Tuesday, and the volleyball is out this afternoon. We got what 10 teams?
Yeah, it's 11? A
lot. So it's going to be a busy playoff a couple of weeks here. We're excited about it.
Defending state champion Ipswich, number 1 seed in Division 4, looking to keep their crown. We hope that's the case.
Did they lose it this year? They had 1 loss?
They had 2 losses. They lost to Peabody, and they lost another non-leaguer, I believe.
It was another Northeastern Conference squad. I believe it was Marblehead.
I think it was Marblehead. Yeah.
Ran the table in the Cal, but lost to a couple of NEC teams. No shame in that.
Nope.
No. Teams in higher divisions too.
Any other highlights? So we got those things to look forward to. We got the matchup. So thanks for sharing those non-playoff
Really, want
games.
to just touch on the NEC race from this past Saturday?
Oh yeah,
cross country.
Yeah,
go ahead. Yeah,
that. I mean, I would encourage everybody to go look at the photos. We got some cool photos. There's one really cool photo with the kids running in front of that big rock with the.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. And
yeah, it was a good
really
shot.
Nice.
Shout out to Lauren Stewart for getting that right out on the front there. That looked great.
SalemNews.com we're talking about here.
Was a great race. I mean, in the team standings, Peabody ended up winning it by only 1 point in the girls and 2 points in the boys. So every place mattered. Everybody's kind of warmed up. And remember, cross country takes this week off. There's some invitational meets and stuff, but nothing official. So the cross country states is actually, a week out. That's going to be November 12th, and then the all states November 19th. So cross country will be going right to the end. So they just probably good for them attention wise. We'll spend this week talking about all of our other teams, and then by the time they run states, I bet most of our other teams will have been eliminated. So that'll be good for cross country in terms of getting coverage and stuff.
Yep.
It was a fun meet. It was an interesting meet. I mean, when the kids were warming up at 8:30, they got off the bus. Everything was frosty. It was about 38 degrees. And then, by the time they gave out the awards there at the gazebo, it was, close to 60 at noontime when the sun was out. So
Yeah.
it's that time of year. That's why the marathoners start in layers and end up leaving them, as they go through Hopkinton, I guess.
I will say stage 4 is a very spectator friendly
Sure is.
venue. You can kind of follow what's going on. They do their dual meets at Ravenswood Park, and it's basically if you're going there live, you get to watch them run past you, and then 15 minutes later, you get to watch them come back. But at stage 4, you can kind of follow the action a little bit better, which I liked.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No, it's a great venue. Brian LaFada does an amazing job, and the Gloucester DPW getting the course ready and getting the parking ready and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it really, I know some of the coaches were pretty mad when they had to give up Bradley Palmer and kind of got kicked out of there, but I think they really have found a diamond in the rough there at stage 4. Like Nick said, it's amazing for the spectators, and it's great for the kids to watch their teammates be able to run and cheer them on and stuff like that. It really is. I think that was the 3rd time they've done it there, and the longer it goes, the more it becomes a tradition. I think it's going to be really good for the league, personally.
Nice. Anything else, guys, you want to share? We've got about a minute or two left, and if we want it, we don't have to take it. We could give it back to the taxpayers if they wanted it, but whatever.
How about those Bruins?
Yeah. They still winning?
Think
What
so.
a start, Phil, those Bruins. Incredible. Best ever.
They're hot. Yeah, they're hot.
Don't go facetious, Billy. Are you mocking him?
No, I'm not.
Best ever.
8-1 going into Pittsburgh tomorrow. Marchand semi-back, I guess. McAvoy close. It won't last forever, but so far so good for them. How about Team Green? How are we doing there? 4-2?
Yeah, they're hanging in. They're having some issues defensively, it seems, but they had a big blowout win last night, which was good, and we'll see how it goes down the road. But it does seem like this new coach has changed a few things, definitely defensively. But 4-2, they'll take that at this point.
Hey, they and everybody else are better than the Lakers, so that's okay.
Unfortunately, it's true. We got our first win last night, though.
Yeah, listen to you taking a place of Russell Westbrook over there.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking facts.
Better jumper.
Yeah,
I probably do have a better jumper than Russell. Yeah.
Well, by this time next week, we'll be into the thick of everything. We'll have had first-round playoff games in all of our sports. Be looking forward to divisional quarterfinal football. So it's a great time of year. I think we all enjoy it. This is why we do what we do. Times like this, and obviously we're looking forward to some great tournament action.
All right. Next week, I'll bring some pumpkin cupcakes or something for everybody. Okay. All right. Sounds good, gentlemen. We'll talk again soon.
Happy Halloween.
Yep.
Thanks.